This video is going to be about what health supplements you should be using if you are an assisted athlete. So if you're basically taking gear, then if you can afford to take gear, then you should be able to afford to take the health supplements to make you healthy. One other thing that's important to bear in mind also is when you're trying to grow and when you're trying to make yourself gain muscle, it's not just about taking care of drugs, if that's the route that you decide to go down. It's also making sure that your body's in the healthiest place so that it can grow, so that those things that you choose to take are actually able to work to the best of their abilities. So that would be by using health supplements, eating a healthy diet, making sure you're having like your vegetables, your micronutrients from your fruit and stuff like that. But also, and I will put it up on the screen to show what my blood work looked like when I was on the way down in a deficit in a diet, and in a relatively decent chunk of bits. So that would be testosterone, masteron, primo, tren, for example, in the coming down phase. And you can see from the blood work that I'll put up on the screen that it's actually pretty good. HDL, you'd expect HDL to be a little bit lower, especially running things like Primo, just because that's the nature of what that does. It will pull that down. But LDL obviously is our main concern. I appreciate ratios are important, but LDL cholesterol on this is, to be honest, pretty decent given the circumstances. So what I would be running, I choose to use a lot of the Trained by JP health supplements. The reason why I use those is because I know that Jordan, who owns it, made them essentially for himself to use. Obviously he's pushed the boat pretty wide when it comes to everything, the amount of muscle that he's gained, the calories he's had to do as a result, probably the supplementation that he's used as a result. So he makes a lot of these health supplements in order to keep himself healthy. And although, you know, he's obviously trying to sell products, we know that he leaves no stone unturned. And to be honest, they speak for themselves, because when I've had my blood work done, like I said, it's come back and it's been like bang on. So the first one is something called Heart Care, which is good for lowering bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, but it also has a very, very interesting supplement in it, which is called nattokinase. Now you can buy that on its own. I would recommend buying this one, obviously, but nattokinase actually can dissolve blood clots. And it is one of the few things they're looking into at the moment which has the potential to reverse arterial sclerosis. So that basically means plaque buildup. So all of the LDL, which is what creates plaque, which is bad cholesterol, sticks to the arteries, and it basically narrows the artery over time, and then the point where it blocks completely, and that's when you have a heart attack. So this potentially can actually reverse that process. So that's pretty impressive. So this is, you would take 5 capsules of this per day, because for nattokinase you ideally want over 10,000. I think it's measured in FU. I have no idea what that means, but it's, you basically need to take 10,000 or more. One of the other things I use is OsteoPro. So this is for joints. I was always a little bit like hesitant to take joint supplements because I thought for the most part they were a load of shit, to be honest. But I did actually have a little bit of flare up in my tricep, which I tore partially like years ago, and every now and then, especially in a diet phase, like it will start to flare up. I genuinely started taking that along with this join-in supplement as well, and about 4 weeks later, despite the fact I was still coming down in body fat, the joint pain was actually gone. So those two, if you're suffering with joint pain, then I definitely recommend. One of my go-tos is Omega Pharma Pro. So this is a very high quality patented fish oil. So that again is just good for general health, brain health, cholesterol, heart health. It's like an all-rounder. So 100% would recommend that to anyone, especially women. It can help when you're on your cycle at your time of your month to increase your omegas. We've got Omega V, which is a flaxseed oil, which is basically doing similar to this, but just by using different means. So again, it's just another one to add to the list for heart health and general health. I use Ensure, which is a glucose disposal agent that basically helps with the uptake of carbohydrates. So at the moment now I'm starting to try and go back up in body weight. I'm using this 2 tablets with meal 1 and 2 tablets with my last meal of the day. It just helps to dispose of the additional glucose. Vitamin E, I take. Not much to say about vitamin E. It's good for your skin. It's good for your overall health and well-being. Trained by JP Loveheart. Again, this is another one for cholesterol. This is improved kidney function, improved cholesterol, and it reduces blood pressure. Obviously, blood pressure paired with bad cholesterol is the combination that you really don't want. So anything that reduces blood pressure is obviously a win. My blood pressure, I believe the last time I had it taken at work was 111/70, so that's pretty low. Vitamin K2 and D3. So if you live somewhere like England where it is basically never sunshine and it is grey permanently, then you will be 100% deficient in vitamin D3. Vitamin K2 helps with the uptake of the vitamin D3, and to be honest with you, I actually take additional vitamin D3 on top of this. So I'm having about 10,000 IU of vitamin D3 per day to try and combat the fact that we have no sun. Another one, curcumin, which is trained by JP, which is basically curcumin, which is from turmeric. But turmeric, yeah, I've had people who don't like to spend money on things. It's really strange. Like they'll spend money on certain things, but then when it comes to supplements, like I'm not spending that money. And it's like, I'll just put turmeric on my food. Yeah, it doesn't work. So it's not as bioavailable. So you need the curcumin itself. So this is actually got tons. If you Google and research this. This has got tons of research behind it around potentially being great as like an anti-cancer. It's great for inflammation as an anti-inflammatory, but it's not going to give you the gut issues that smashing ibuprofen, for example, can. And it's got a whole other host of benefits around brain health and neuro health. I'm pretty sure years ago I actually read a study that was to do with Alzheimer's patients using this, and it was like a regenerative, it was helping to sort of regenerate brain connection. So again, good, use it. Krill oil, so this is another way, again, another omega-3, which is going to help with bad cholesterol, good cholesterol, everything cholesterol related. Vitamin C I use in the morning just with a drink that I make. And then one of the other products that I use here is called Dream Sleep, which is basically just helps you unwind at the end of the day. And I recommend that. Obviously, in this country, you can't buy melatonin over the counter. I do use melatonin just because I think it helps. And then some other supplements that we have on here, because I might as well show them anyway. I have creatine first thing in the morning, along with glutamine. So I actually have a drink every morning, which I find helps with sort of digestion and just general health, which has got a lemon in it, or sometimes 2 lemons, depending on the size. It has 10 grams of, or 10 milliliters of apple cider vinegar, which is just like the organic one. It's meant to have the mother in it, which I don't know, I have no idea why it's called that, but basically it's the cloudy one. So we do 10 milliliters of that in there with a litre of water, 5 grams of creatine and 10 grams of glutamine. And I have that first thing when I wake up, and I find, yeah, it just helps. So far, touch wood, I've not got sick this year, despite working in an office where there's a lot of people who are ill. So it's one of those places where, you know, like if one person gets it, it's just like a domino effect and everybody gets it. And so far, there's been quite a few people, despite the fact that it's the middle of summer, which is odd, that have been getting really sick. And like with, I don't know if it's COVID or like flu-like symptoms, but yeah, so far, like I said, I've not picked anything up, and that's been a couple of weeks. So I attribute that to taking a lot of these supplements, but obviously you can't replace just eating well. Adding in, you know, 150 to 200 grams worth of green vegetables per meal, obviously in a meal where you would have those. And then fruits. Fruits is something that people shy away from. I eat quite a lot of raspberries and blueberries. You can buy the frozen ones if needs be. It's a little bit cheaper, than it saves you having to go to the supermarket every 5 seconds. I like using the fresh ones, but yeah, the main sort of takeaway and the whole point behind making this video was just to, not so much to be like, oh look, take some supplements. I'm not sponsored by these, so it does cost a reasonable amount of money. However, if I'm making the decision to put my body in a place where I'm trying to optimize absolutely everything, and I've made the decision that I'm going to use, you know, like super supplements in order to help me reach the goals, mainly because the goals that I've got would not be attainable without. But I need to make sure that everything else is taken care of. And that's not even looking at it from like a longevity standpoint of thinking, oh, I need to try and optimize my health as much as possible, because obviously if full optimization was the goal, then I wouldn't be messing around with those things, because obviously there is a risk associated with doing anything. And obviously anything that I talk about that's to do with that, I'm not recommending anybody do anything. I'm not suggesting that people do things. You make your own decisions. I'm just trying to put something together which says, if you are going to make those decisions, and to be honest, even if you're not someone who is going to use those things, these will still have a benefit. The amount of people's blood work, I've probably looked at about 50 people's blood work now, and a mixture of that is from clients and then also just people at work who have asked questions, who've seen me having my bloods done, and then, you know, they've been a little bit sort of curious and then gone away, got their own done, and then said, oh, Jack, what's this, blah, blah, blah. And most of them, the most common thing that comes up over and over again, which is why I banged on about cholesterol so much, is bad cholesterol. Now, those people aren't doing gear. It's just their diet. It's just traditional sort of now Western diet is not great. And as a result, it does throw your blood work off. So it is quite ironic, really, that a lot of people will look at what I'm doing or look at what other bodybuilders or things like that are doing and go, oh, God, it's so unhealthy. But then my blood work is actually better than anyone's, genuinely, anybody at work who I've seen their blood work, who's just an average person. Like, my blood work is significantly better. That's not to say, obviously, that if they were then taking these supplements and were eating healthy, their blood work would be better than mine. I would expect it to be. But I'm just saying that if you want to make it so that you can make the most progress whilst mitigating risk, and also just the main thing for me is putting your body in the position where it can grow, so a healthy body is going to be able to deliver better results, then taking these supplements is something that I would strongly recommend. If you can't afford to do all of these, then I would literally say the most important ones for me would be the Omega Pharma Pro. So that's a very, very high quality fish oil. Now, the reason I use these ones specifically is because they use patented ingredients. So they basically have to sign into an agreement with, when this any logos that you see on here that have got other companies' ingredients in, they basically have to sign into a contract saying that what is in here is actually in here. Otherwise, they're liable for like legal action. So I would take the Omega Pharma Pro, I would take the Curcumin, and I would take the Heart Care for the nattokinase, for the blood clots. I think, to be honest, if I had to choose one supplement, it would be the Heart Care, mainly for the nattokinase, because I've had a few people who I've spoken to over the years who've lost people due to strokes and things like that. And although I'm not guaranteeing it, obviously the chances are, if they were using this, because it does dissolve blood clots, it may have never happened. So you could take this and never really know, but I would rather take this and ease on the sides of caution, especially like if you're going like a long flight, for example, and people always talk about like deep vein thrombosis, then taking something like nattokinase or something that's got nattokinase in would be a good idea. So anyway, it's enough rambling. If you've made it this far and listened to me ramble on for this long, then well done. But again, anything I'm trying to put out is just to try and be of use and just try and help people. When I first started doing this years ago, there wasn't a lot of information out there. And then I stepped away from it completely for about 7 or 8 years and then only recently returned. But yeah, there's a lot more information now, but I find sometimes it's like the information can be confusing because it can be conflicting. But yeah, anyway, hope that was helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one.